Okay, hello boys and girls. Today we have another round 3 game in the TA Escalation 2021 tournament, and this time it will be between FN in the gold trunks at the top left with the ARM Commander. And let's see what he starts with. He's just building some wind generators first, building some economy. And he's going to go vehicle first, not unexpected. And in the bottom right, we have CombatDisc, the purple ARM Commander, also going vehicle first. And I think CombatDisc's alternate name is Dirty Harry. This map is a round 3 exclusive map. We have casted it once before in the game between Harold and Wotan. It's called Corrupted Conflict, and there is only one way through to your opponent's base through this little mini pass here. I kind of think of this as like a mini gauntlet. This kind of reminds me of the gauntlet. It's just not as long, but there is only one way through unless you build air transports to traverse these mountainous regions. So, overall, we will have to see how the players take advantage of this terrain, or if they can. And, yeah. Dirty Harry going for a very defensive start. Looks like he built 3 construction vehicles almost right away and 2 Jeffies. In previous games, we've seen players start with a veritable army of Jeffies, and I mean an army, sometimes 10, 15, 20. But Dirty Harry deciding to go more of a economic approach, and he has started with almost exclusively some construction vehicles, now building some flashes. And his opponent, there's a single Jeffy coming down from FN. He's going to see if he can get some harassment done, but it looks like he will be probably thwarted. Oh, he might get this one metal extractor. He did get something for his trouble. And now he's being chased by an army of Jeffies who are not being microed correctly. It looks like FN will swing back around and get another metal extractor. Very annoying. But let's see. Dirty Harry reacting in time to save it. And in the middle, little combat between Jeffies and Flashes. FN continuing to send little raiders down, trying to see what he can do, get some economic harassment done. So far, it's been mildly effective. No permanent economic damage yet, but just being very annoying. And in the meantime, it looks like Dirty Harry will send some of his own flashes north to try to get some damage done here on these metal extractors. And it does look like they're completely undefended, so that will be quite a successful raid. And we'll have to see what else he can get done. Here in the bottom, FN continuing to send down Jeffies and now some flashes. He might be able to get this construction vehicle. We'll have to see. He does get it. And now he's going to try to stop this vehicle plant from finishing and maybe get a second construction vehicle. That would be pretty big if he could get 2 construction vehicles. He did get 2. As I've said in previous casts, construction vehicles in this mod are very expensive. They take a long time to build. So every construction vehicle you can take out of your opponents, you will delay their economy, delay their production, delay their ability to create an army quite significantly. And FN has done a good job of that so far. But in the meantime, CombatDisc is going to see what he can do. He might, I was going to say he might make it into his opponent's base, and he has. And coming through the bottom here, he's going to Sneak past this commander, get a few wind generators maybe. Let's see, 2, 3. But overall, nothing too tremendous done there. Just a few kills, few metal extractors, few wind generators, but no permanent economic damage to speak of. As you would expect in this early game, arm versus arm, it is flash versus flash. There is quite a bit of harassment being done by both players, but both players are doing a relatively decent job of protecting their bases, preventing anything too catastrophic from happening. We've seen plenty of casts in this tournament where the game essentially ends within the first 5 minutes because one player just cripples his opponent's economy, takes out their production buildings, and just kind of wins by proxy after that. But this game, that has not been the case. It has been a very close, very even exchange of harassment and skirmishing between groups of flashes and occasionally Jeffies. So both players doing a pretty good job here, but taking a look at the mega map, it does look like CombatDisc has more of the map. He just seems to have more surface area, so I would give him the advantage here. He is at 42 metal per second to FN's 28 per second. So definitely ahead on economy, and I think that just really comes down to the fact that he has been expanding quite a bit more. I think he's built more construction vehicles overall than his opponent. Let's look here. Yeah, it does look like CombatDisc has quite a few more construction vehicles than his opponent. Let's look here if we can just count them real quickly. 1, 2. We got one up here. 3 for CombatDisc. And for FN, I see 1, 2. Might be it. Just 2. So, yeah, he does have more construction vehicles, CombatDisc, and does look like he is putting them to good use, kind of taking over the whole southern portion of this map. And here in the middle, we will have a battle between flashes for the most part. Looks pretty evenly matched. I don't think either player will really come out on top here. But in the north, it does look like CombatDisc is doing his own little raid there. A couple of flashes getting through, but overall, not much accomplished. And he's also pushing through the mid here to the top left. FN has gone K-Bot Labs second. K-Bots can outrange flashes pretty well. There's quite a few K-Bots that would be decent against flashes in this situation. He's opting to go Rocco's. Rocco's decent for outranging flashes if you can keep them at a range, kite them, and slowly whittle them down with those vicious rockets. He can certainly gain an advantage over his opponent in a battle. But in the meantime, CombatDisc is building javelins, which themselves can outrange flashes, and overall are stronger if they are microed correctly. They can certainly beat flashes. So we'll have to see how that turns out. Here we go. Let me slow it down here. Big battle in the middle. Again, you want to keep these javelins away from the flashes. Keep them at a range. But it does look like FN is closing in on these javelins, getting into EMG range, which is just going to absolutely melt these javelins down. And it looks like he is, I'd say, having an advantage in this battle. Maybe, but it does look as though he split off this one little squad from his main force, and he might be attempting to get some harassment done there. In the meantime, he's going to send the main portion of his army down into the middle of CombatDisc's base, but he will meet a literal wall of flashes that are going to prevent him from moving forward any further. So, great job by CombatDisc, really good defense there. Just good control of his flashes. He had a few LLTs on the right side here, a sentinel in the back. So very well defended. And again, if you look at the map, you can just simply see that CombatDisc has done a better job of taking his portion of the map, and therefore has achieved an economic advantage over his opponent of about, looks to be about 15 metal per second over his opponent. So certainly he is ahead just in economy, and we'll see what he's doing. He's now on 2 vehicle plants, 3 vehicle plants, and an advanced vehicle plant. So now he is on T2, and this should give him a massive advantage in the upcoming battles. In the meantime, FN has built some Thunders. The T1 bombers, if used correctly, can do devastating economic damage or outright win the game. But unfortunately, that does mean that FN is not on T2. And alright, here we go. Here's this bombing run that we were anticipating. It's going to fly down the east side of the map. It's going to fly... What's he going for here? What's he targeting? He's only got about 5 of them. That's not, it's not a tremendous amount. He does go for this Geo. Takes out the Geo. Good job there. What else can he do? Speed it back up to normal. Gonna get some line bombing done on those units. And overall, yeah, doesn't look like he got much else done there. Just a Geo. Not too bad, but also not too good either. But as I said before, CombatDisc is now on T2. He's got bandits. He's got javelins. He's got flashes. He's got Lugers in the background, slowly pelting his opponent's static defenses from a huge range. And overall, CombatDisc is in a dominating position. He's on a higher tech, and he's got a stronger economy and a better composition overall. And these Lugers are sitting in the back and gleefully pelting his opponent's the Geo down into oblivion. It will explode in a blaze of glory and allow CombatDisc to continue to push north. If he just had some scouting, let's look at his vision here. He doesn't see this here. He doesn't see that there's a base here. It doesn't look like he has radar. It's unfortunate. If he had some radar, he could quite easily take out this little mini base of FN's, but we'll have to see if he brings some radar or if he just sends some units into that area, which will also provide vision to allow those Lugers to be used to full effectiveness. At the right side, he's also bringing up a little contingent of Panthers, which will quite easily take out any kind of economic structure that he has. There are a few light laser towers here, but 5 or 6 Panthers should be able to quite easily handle these laser towers if they simply move them into range at the same time. And yeah, it's going to take out that little economic structure. He's also sending some scouts up to FN's base to see what he's doing. And overall, CombatDisc is in a dominant position here. He is way, way ahead. And I don't know, just looking at the mega map, you can kind of see that it's looking quite dire for FN. He's being closed in on from all sides. His opponent is about 60 metal ahead of him, and the Panthers are coming to end this game almost certainly. Take out the wind generators, taking out the energy storage, and just continuing to walk into this base and do as much harassment and structural damage as humanly possible. In the meantime, it does look like FN is trying to build some brawlers as a last-ditch effort, but brawlers aren't so good against a mass of panthers unless you have at least as many brawlers as panthers, but one brawler certainly won't be enough here, and it does look like CombatDisc is going to claim this game. So congratulations to CombatDisc. Great performance in the first game. Overall, it was pretty even, but it does look like Dirty Harry got an advantage early on, and he pushed that advantage into the mid-game just by having more of the map. He simply had a much larger portion of the map taken, and he pushed his economic advantage into T2, which gave him a huge military advantage, and ultimately that's what won him the game. So let's move on to Game 2. Okay, this is Game 2 of Dirty Harry versus FN on Mangrove, and I have joked in the past that the reason this map is called Mangrove is that you must be a real man to play on it. And so we have a couple of very manly men here who are very secure in their sexuality, and they have decided to play on this map, which I believe was literally created by CombatDisc. I think he created this map himself, so that should give him some advantage, being the creator of the map. Maybe he has some inside information. Maybe he knows some secrets the rest of us don't. Maybe he gave himself a little of a unfair advantage. But of course, I'm just joking. I do think that CombatDisc will have an advantage on this map if he really did create it himself. But in the meantime, let's look at the player's starts. FN is going hovercraft first. Nothing too out of the ordinary here, and CombatDisc going vehicle first. I do like hovercraft first on this map because it gives you access to the whole map instead of just the tiny little island that you start on. You can instead take all the metal spots on your island and off your island, the ones in the water, and it also does give you the ability to harass early on, which it does look as though FN is going to take full advantage of by bringing a couple little skeeters down, skimmers, and killing some metal extractors, just being very annoying in general. Excuse me, I guess CombatDisc did go hovercraft first. I could have swore. Oh, no, okay. He started vehicle. He reclaimed his vehicle plant after he got a single construction vehicle, and then went into hovercraft. I don't know why he did that. I don't know why you wouldn't just start with hover. I don't know what the advantage of going vehicle first just to build a single construction vehicle is. It probably was a mistake, but he certainly put himself behind a little bit, I think, with this decision. Shouldn't be too game-breaking, but ultimately very strange to start vehicle and then just reclaim it and then go right into hovercraft. But he is going to catch a construction hovercraft off guard here. He might be able to kill it. Oh, he is doing some nano blocking. FN almost survived, but not quite. He does take out a construction hovercraft, and that is quite brutal this early into the game. As I've said in previous casts, construction vehicles or hovercraft in this game take quite a long time to build, and thus every single one is precious, especially in the early game. You don't want to be losing those for free. And so great job by CombatDisc giving himself a bit of an early game advantage, I'd say, over his opponent. But FN now bringing down his own little skimmers here to try to get something done, but ultimately they are cleaned up by the scrubbers. And oh wow, the scrubbers just went right past that skimmer. They didn't even fire at it, it looked like, and he's gonna continue his harassment on this construction hovercraft, continuously send down a nearly endless wave of skimmers to try to take this dang thing out. And can he do it? Oh, not quite. He gets it down to about 1/10. Smidgen of health, but great job by CombatDisc protecting that hovercraft and allowing him to stay in this game in terms of his economy, in terms of his ability to produce. And I would say it is not too much of a guess to predict that Dirty Harry has more construction vehicles. He does have 2 construction vehicles, 2 construction hovercraft, and this should allow him to expand quite a bit more quickly. Let's look here. FN just has the 2 construction hovercraft, 3, so he is a little behind CombatDisc in terms of construction units. And in the top, CombatDisc is going to bring this little contingent of scrubbers, pass his opponent defenses, and see what he can do. But it does look like FN has done a relatively good job of cleaning those up and preventing any real economic damage from being done. In the bottom, CombatDisc will bring a few salamanders, which are the flamethrower core only hovercraft that are a bit of a skirmish hovercraft, pretty decent at raiding because they have more health than the scrubbers, and do quite a bit more damage if they can get that flamethrower into range. But overall, let's check out the economy. CombatDisc is ahead. He's at about 30 metal per second. And we will have to see if his economic advantage can translate into a tactical advantage. And he does seem to be winning this battle against wombats. Theoretically, salamanders beat wombats pretty easily. But FN brings in reinforcements and will clean up that army of salamanders quite convincingly, which brings us back to essentially parity. And let's see here. FN continuing to just build these zappers, which, as their name would imply, are a short-ranged lightning tank, lightning hovercraft. And these are quite a bit stronger than the skimmers, though slower. And yeah, FN making a comment that CombatDisc has no constructors. That's not true at all. He does have quite a few constructors, though some of them are in the water. I think he's just hidden them very well. But either way, yes, CombatDisc does have constructors. FN has sneaked this little geo here. That should give him quite a bit of a power advantage, I'd say, for this point in the game. Let's see if CombatDisc has any... Oh, CombatDisc has his own geo. He's working on a second one. But here in the middle, we have a little skirmish between this contingent of Nixers and this small group of Zappers. The Zappers need to get into a very close range in order to do anything against the Nixers. And so the Nixers should have an advantage if they can outrange those Zappers and keep them at a distance. In the meantime, it does look like CombatDisc has brought in a small contingent of Salamanders here to harass his opponent's metal. He did a good job, but now it looks like he's kind of microing something else, and he's going to let this Salamander pretty much die for free. Again, let's look at the metal. They're almost dead even now. 40 on 40 metal. So dead even on economy almost. And now it's going to come down to which player can micro better and build the better army composition against their opponent. CombatDisc doing a good job with these Nixers of staying out of range of his opponent's units and slowly harassing them down with those missiles In TA Escalation, the Nixer missiles do have a homing feature. They did not in the original game. So the Nixers are much stronger in combat against other units if they can stay at a decent range and slowly pelt them down with their vertical launched missiles. On the left side, CombatDisc bringing up a contingent of salamanders to take out this Geo. And wow, he has quite an army here of Nixers and salamanders. And we'll have to see what FN can do. FN is a little behind because he has, it looks, rushed to T2 K-bots. That may turn around to bite him because the problem is CombatDisc has spent that metal on an army, and it's hard to say whether FN will be able to stop this. Let's slow it down. Let's look at FN's point of view. His commander is on about 3/4. So his commander didn't die there. He's built a shooter, and the shooter will potentially be able to snipe these down, but no. It's going to try to stay at a range here. And, oh, FN making quite a risky play by moving his commander down. Might want to think better of that. His commander getting very, very low. And, yeah, it looks like FN might have made a mistake by rushing T2 here. It has put him way behind in terms of his army composition. And unfortunately, that is looking pretty bad. Let's see. Let's look down here. In the meantime, CombatDisc has gone T2 himself. He's on an advanced hovercraft platform. And he is in a commanding position. That was a very successful push there of Nixers and Salamanders. He got quite a bit done. To be honest, I'm surprised that FN even survived that attack. But he did survive. But unfortunately, CombatDisc has most of the map now. He has these two southern islands. And let's see what's going on here. He still, FN still has this geo. He's working on this geo up here. I'm going to speed it up. Okay, CombatDisc going for another raid here. Going to see if he can get some economic damage done on his opponent's lightly defended island on the top right here. Take out some metal spots. And perhaps come in at an angle that FN does not have very well defended. FN does have a few pelicans, but it doesn't look like 1 or 2 pelicans is really going to be enough to stop this quite imposing force of Nixers and Salamanders. I really don't know what FN is going to do in this situation. He does have a few pelicans. Pelicans are quite strong in escalation. And yeah, he might be able to clean that up. Can he stop this Salamander before it? Okay, so he did ultimately survive that attack too. Again, I didn't think he could, but every attack, unfortunately, is destroying more and more of his base, and he does recognize that it's probably a lost cause. As you can see, CombatDisc had most of the map, but great job by both players, and I do think CombatDisc did a better job of harassing. He had a better decision about when to tech to T2. FN tried to rush T2 K-bots, and in that time, CombatDisc had built quite a formidable army of hovercraft, and given that FN had invested most of his money into teching to T2, that allowed this hovercraft force to quite effectively damage FN's economy and do quite an impressive amount of it gave CombatDisc quite an impressive lead over his opponent, which he then used to continuously harass him and ultimately win the game. So congratulations to CombatDisc. He will move on to the semifinals. And good luck to him, and we will have to see what happens in the next game. Thank you for watching.